Hey guys, so this is question number one from your pre-quiz yesterday. But before jumping on to the question, I want to give us a little bit of a framework as to, why are we going through this problem? Why is Ms. Anastroza and Mr. Bravo picking these certain problems to do videos on? And the first thing is, I would just want to show you the quick data. For question one, unfortunately, only a third of us got this question correct. And so the next thing was, okay, so what did students pick? And so I want you guys to take a quick 10 seconds and I want you to tell me, what do you notice about the selections that students gave? 5 more seconds. I'm also, thinking. All right, so what do you notice about the choices that were being picked? So I'm going to try to read your minds, and I'm going to assume that someone, maybe Nazaya, I know her hand was definitely up though, and hopefully Ayanla's sitting all the way up, not with her head down, said that, hey, Mr. Bravo, I noticed that A and D have the equal number of, students that are picking those answer choices. And then hopefully, maybe I do a quick cold call and I call, who else would I call? Demir. Demir, what else do you notice? And he's going to say, well, Mr. Bravo, I'm noticing that a lot of people just picked A, C, and D. And so the purpose of today's lesson, the overview of this question is, why is there such a spread across the choices that we're picking? And so that's our data. And now the second part is we are now also going to be looking at other student work, which is why it's extremely important that, one, your penmanship is clear, but that you're also putting up work so that Mr. Bravo could go in and say, oh, okay, like this is why, student A picked A, or why student B picked D, so on and so forth. And we're going to get to this section in just a bit. But for now, let's dive into the actual question. The base of an aquarium, it is the shape of a right triangle or a rectangular prism that has the area of 173 4/10 square inches, and the height is 9 inches. Okay, so in your mind, you're thinking, okay, this is information, this is important information. Now, it's saying, what is the volume of the aquarium rounded to the nearest cubic inch? Okay. All right, so this is the information is pretty clear. And so now let's make sure that we are jotting this information down so that we know what we are trying to answer and what we have. And so we're going to start off with the first thing we highlighted, which was we are being given what? What is the first thing that we are being given here? I'm going to call on someone. Ava. What's the first thing on this problem that's being given to us? Hopefully you said the following. Mr. Bravo, we are being given the area of the base of this rectangular prism. So we know that the area of the base is 173 4 inches squared. Okay. And I'm going to draw you guys a quick diagram so that we're able to see what that means. Because here I think a visual aid would really be helpful for us to visualize it. So, Mr. Bravo's always trying to draw. So we're thinking about the area of the base, okay? That is going to represent what part of this rectangular prism. And hopefully someone's like pointing at their screen at this point. I'm going to use my cool laser here. And the base is referring to the area of the bottom of this rectangular prism. So this entire thing down here that we are now going to color in green, we're being given that. And it's still, it's not three-dimensional. It's just the area of the bottom of it. Okay, so we have that. What other piece are we being given? Yeah, and it's saying that the height is 9 inches. Okay. Are we being given anything else in regards to the actual, dimensions of the shape? And let's make sure that we are, for the height, we're highlighting 9 inches. And for here, I'm going to label this as 173.4 inches squared, because that's the area of the entire base. All right. So what's the last thing we have left to jot down? Our question. And our question is asking, what is the volume of the aquarium rounded to the nearest cubic inch? So we're looking for volume. And again, thinking about volume is the amount of area that's taken up inside of a shape. Okay, so it's asking for what is the volume of the aquarium. All right, we got all this information. Now, before we jump on to solving it together as a class, I want us to look at some of the work that I saw on some papers. And I do want to let you guys know that some of you might be like, wait, like, why are they doing this? One, you'll notice like there's not much labels on these problems. And this is across the board. A lot of us we're just not labeling our numbers, so we don't even know what they mean. And I think that definitely is contributing to our confusion and why we are, unfortunately getting these types of results. But it's okay. Because we're going to get better at it, and I'm going to get better at it. And so, I think this is a good place to start. So right off the bat, let's take a minute, and I want you to look at what is the difference between the work in student A, which is on the left side, and student B. What is different and what is the same? All right, so hopefully, let's just jot down what do we notice is the same? So the same. Well, Tia, what do you think is the same, or what do you see as the same in both examples A and B? Hopefully, Tia, you told me, oh, Mr. Bravo, they both use the area and height given in the problem. Okay, I agree. I see 173 and 4/10 and 173 and 4/10. All right. What do we notice is different? It's different. Okay. I'm giving them 5 seconds because we already got some time to look at it. All right. So what's different? When I look at A, I'm noticing the operation. Student A is multiplying the height and the area of the base. For student B, I'm noticing that they're dividing. So they're doing two different operations. So, two different operations, which in turn is resulting in different answers. Okay, so now that hopefully you guys fall into one of these buckets. You're either a student A or you're a student B. But now that we've looked at their differences and compared them, let's figure out which operation should we be doing and why. So let's go back to our problem and our information given. I know that I have the area of this base, right? And it's two-dimensional because my base, I know, is made up of my length and, sorry guys, my length and my, it's supposed to be lowercase, my length, sorry guys, my length, why is this doing this? Okay, it's made up of my length and my width. And we have our height here. Now, when we multiply the length and the width, we end up with the area of the base, which is two-dimensional because it only has 2 dimensions. Okay, but we want to figure out what is the volume of this entire shape. So, if I were to take this base and continue filling it up all the way to the top of this aquarium. All right. So thinking about our dimensions now of the aquarium as a whole, what could we use to figure out how many of these bases am I going to have to continue putting one on top of each other to get all the way to the top? Hopefully we have some people saying, wait, Mr. Bravo, I know what we're doing. And that is, if I have this bottom base area and I have my height, I can simply, if I want to figure out how many of these layers I'm going to have to put to get all the way to the top, I just have to multiply 173 4/10 by my height. And hopefully you guys are seeing this connection, because we know that in order to find volume, we must know the length times width times height. However, in this situation, we're already being given this area of the base, which is represented by multiplying length times width, which is equal to 173 4/10. And now all we're left to do is replace my height by what we're being given, which is 9. And if we want to find a volume, we simply multiply the base, which this represents the area of base, times the height, and we end up with 1,560,000 and 6/10 inches cubed. But the problem said to round to the, so here we'll notice that the person that was incorrect was B. We weren't supposed to be multiplying. We weren't supposed to be dividing, we were supposed to be multiplying. And so that eliminates A. And then we're left with C and D. Now, and this might be a little bit embarrassing, but a lot of us were not correctly rounding, guys. We needed to make sure that it said to round to the nearest cubic inch. If we round to the nearest cubic inch, it's 1,560 inches cubed, which was answer D.